The sound of the mop bucket echoed louder than usual in the empty hospital corridor as the sun climbed through the tall glass windows, washing everything in pale morning light. For Elias Moreno, this was supposed to be his final shift, the quiet ending to a job that had kept food on the table for his little boy. He didn't know yet that before the day ended, 3 helicopters would shake the ground outside and turn his quiet goodbye into a moment that would change his life forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and unseen heroes, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Life Spark Stories. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. Elias had been a janitor at North Valley Medical Center for 7 years. Every day, in daylight hours while the city rushed past, he cleaned floors, emptied bins, and wiped fingerprints from glass doors that never remembered him. He worked the day shift so he could pick up his 6-year-old son Mateo from school on time. Mateo was his world, the reason he woke before dawn and smiled, even when his hands cracked from chemicals and cold water. But budget cuts didn't care about loyalty, and that morning, Elias had been called into a small office and told his position was being eliminated. No anger, no tears. Just a nod, a thank you, and a quiet walk back to finish what he promised would be his last shift done right. As he pushed his cart through the pediatric wing, sunlight spilled across colorful walls and cartoon murals. Children laughed somewhere down the hall, alive because of miracles Elias never saw but always respected. What no one here knew was that Elias carried another life inside him too, not as a patient, but as a memory. Years ago, before Mateo was born, Elias had been something else entirely. He had trained in emergency aviation rescue, flown daylight missions into storms and wildfires, pulling strangers from the edge of death. After his wife passed away suddenly, he left that world, grounded himself, and chose stability over heroics. A mop was safer than a rotor blade when a child needed a father. By noon, Elias finished the last floor. He paused by a window overlooking the hospital lawn where the grass shimmered under the bright blue sky. That was when the air changed. A deep vibration rolled through the glass, low and powerful. Leaves lifted, birds scattered, and the ground seemed to hum. Elias frowned, stepping closer to the window as a shadow swept across the lawn. Then another, and another. 3 helicopters descended in tight formation, blades screaming through the daylight, sending staff and visitors running toward the windows. Dust spiraled as they landed, precise and urgent, not the kind of arrival meant for ceremony. Elias felt his chest tighten, an old instinct waking up, the kind that never really sleeps. Within moments, hospital administrators rushed into the corridor, faces pale and voices urgent. A disaster had struck nearby, a collapsed tour bus on a mountain road, multiple critical injuries, and the specialized rescue team was short one pilot. Someone had remembered a name buried in old records, a man who once flew impossible missions and never lost a soul. They needed Elias Moreno, and they needed him now. Elias stood frozen, janitor uniform still damp at the cuffs, heart pounding louder than the rotors outside. He thought of Mateo waiting at school, of the job he had just lost, of the life he had packed away. He also thought of the people trapped in twisted metal under the unforgiving sun. In that moment, the fear didn't disappear, but purpose rose higher. What followed felt unreal. Elias changed, briefed, and walked toward the waiting aircraft under the blazing afternoon sky. Doctors, nurses, and staff lined the path, many only now realizing who he had been all along. The helicopters lifted off together, cutting through the blue, carrying Elias back into the role he never stopped being. Hours later, as the sun dipped but daylight still held, news spread that every survivor had been airlifted safely. Elias returned not as a janitor finishing a last shift, but as a man rediscovered. The hospital offered him a new position coordinating emergency response, one that honored both his skills and his need to be present for his son. When Elias picked Mateo up that evening, still smelling faintly of disinfectant and fuel, he held his hand a little tighter. knowing that even the quietest lives can hide extraordinary strength. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video. Your support means more than you know. Before we end, comment, second chance, if you believe that no act of kindness or hidden sacrifice is ever truly forgotten. Because sometimes, the people we overlook are the ones the world ends up needing most.